All right, ready to dive in. Today, we're exploring the world of Hermeticism.
Sounds intriguing.
We're going deep into a guided meditation ritual used by practitioners at the Zealiter grade.
Oh, wow. So we're talking robes, wands, altars, the whole mystical shebang.
You got it. We'll even encounter an archangel along the way.
Now you've got my attention. Where are we getting all this from?
Our source material is a document called Golden Dawn Meditation with the Archangel Auriel. It's like a step-by-step guide to a powerful spiritual experience.
So like a mystical recipe. I like that.
Exactly. And the goal, as we'll see, is to connect with this Archangel, Auriel,
To what end?
to gain knowledge and understanding specifically about the element of Earth.
Verse.
Yeah, and something called the active realm, which I'm hoping you can shed some light on.
Ah, yes, the active realm. That's a core concept in Hermetic thought.
So, fill us in. What is it?
Think of it as a higher plane of existence, a realm where spiritual energies are amplified, more readily accessible.
Okay, that's pretty cool. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's set the stage. What does the ritual space look like? What are we working with here?
Well, the document is quite specific about that. It calls for a black robe, for starters.
Okay, like a wizard's robe.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But they also wear a black and white striped head covering called a nimbus.
A nimbus. Interesting. What else?
They also use their outer wand of double power.
Outer wand of double power. That sounds pretty intense.
It does, doesn't it? And that's just the practitioner's attire. We also have the altar set up.
Right, the altar. What's on there?
Equally detailed. We've got a black candle, bread and salt, and a talisman.
A talisman.
With the Archangel Uriel's name in Hebrew on a black background.
Wow, every detail is so specific.
It is. There's even mention of a Zealiter Hall arrangement.
Zealiter Hall. Does that mean this isn't a solo practice?
It suggests that. Like these practitioners are part of a structured order, a larger community.
So there's a sense of shared purpose here.
Definitely. You're not just doing this on your own in a dark room somewhere.
Right. Okay, so we've got the outfit, the tools, the sacred space, maybe even some fellow practitioners in the room. Where does the actual ritual begin? What's step one?
It all starts with preparation and purification. The practitioner begins with relaxation.
Okay, makes sense. Got to get centered.
Exactly. Then they move into a specific breathing technique called the fourfold breath.
Fourfold breath, is that like a yogic breathwork thing?
It's similar, yeah. Very intentional, focused breathing.
And after that?
Then things start to get interesting. They move to the northeast corner of the temple.
Okay, northeast, got it.
And they recite a powerful phrase, Hekas. Hekas.
Ekas este bebelo.
Wow, what are those magic words?
You could say that they're words of power in Hermetic tradition used to invoke specific energies or entities.
Like keys that unlock hidden doorways in the spiritual realm.
That's a great way to put it.
I like that. So what comes after unlocking those doorways? Next up is something you might recognize from other esoteric traditions.
Oh.
It's the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, or LBRP, performed with the wand.
Ah, the LBRP. I've heard of this. It's about clearing out negative energy.
Right, exactly. It's like spiritual spring cleaning. You want to create a pure and protected space.
Makes sense. Before inviting any powerful forces in.
Right. And following the LBRP, the practitioner recites a rather evocative invocation.
Okay, hit us with it.
Stoop not down into that darkly splendid world wherein continually lieth a faithless depth, and Hades wrapped in gloom, delighting in unintelligible images, precipitous, winding, a black, ever-rolling abyss, ever espousing a body unluminous, formless, and void.
Wow, that's a lot. What's the point of such a dramatic statement?
It's a rejection of negative forces, or illusions that might hinder the practitioner's progress.
Like drawing a line in the sand. I'm choosing the path of light and clarity.
Exactly. It's all about setting strong intentions from the start.
Okay, so the space is clear, intentions are set. What happens next? How do they actually invoke the powers they seek?
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The practitioner traces the lesser invoking pentagram.
With their wand.
With their wand, yes.
Yeah.
At each compass point, north, east, south, and west.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
And at each point, they also vibrate the word AGLA.
AGLA, another word of power.
It is. AGLA is an abbreviation of a Hebrew phrase meaning, "Thou art great forever, Lord."
So an affirmation of divine power.
Yes, like they're amplifying the energy of the pentagram with this word.
Turning up the volume on their intention. I like it.
Then, standing in the north, they call upon some serious spiritual heavy hitters.
Okay, who are we talking about here?
The Archangel Uriel, for one,
Yeah.
but also Angel Forlock and the ruler Karub.
Forlac and Karub, those names are new to me.
In Hermetic angelology, each element and planet has associated angels and rulers.
Okay.
So Forlock and Karub are linked to the element of Earth, which is the focus of this ritual. Gotcha. So they're assembling a team, you could say.
Yes, a team of earthly forces to assist them.
And they're not just calling out names, right? You mentioned something about titles and symbols earlier.
Right. They use titles and symbols like Periclinus de Faustus, Arets, and the Hermetic Cross.
And those are all related to...
To the practitioner's grade and the symbolism of Earth within the Hermetic system.
It's all very precise and intentional.
It really is.
So what are they actually asking for in this invocation? What's the big request?
They say, "Grant me the knowledge of the element of Earth and the active realm, so that I may obtain greater understanding of hidden things and thereby advance in the great work."
Hidden things. That sounds pretty mysterious. So this isn't just about learning about rocks and dirt, is it?
Not at all.
Yeah.
They're seeking a much deeper understanding of the mysteries of existence.
Okay, yeah. This is next level.
Remember the active realm we talked about earlier?
The higher plane of existence.
Exactly. They're trying to tap into that to access knowledge and accelerates their spiritual growth. Like they're aiming for a cosmic download of information.
You got it.
This is incredible stuff. But I think we need to take a quick pause here. We'll come back and pick up where we left off in this fascinating exploration of Hermetic meditation. Don't go anywhere.
Looking forward to it.
All right, we're back and ready to continue our journey into this Hermetic meditation ritual. We left off with our zealoter calling on some serious spiritual assistance.
Yeah, things are about to get even more interesting.
Oh, do tell.
Now we move into the realm of symbolic action.
Symbolic action. Okay, I'm intrigued.
So the practitioner begins by circumambulating the temple.
Circumambulating, that means walking around the circle, right?
Exactly. 3 times to be exact.
3 times clockwise or?
Clockwise.
Yeah.
And while making specific salutes as they pass the east.
Salutes.
Yeah.
Like a spiritual soldier.
Something like that. Think of it as a way of acknowledging the 4 directions.
Okay, so they're walking the walk literally.
Right. It's all about deepening that focus and intention.
Preparing for the main event.
Precisely after the 3 circuits, they move to the west side of the altar,
West, okay.
facing east, and perform the adoration to the Lord of the universe.
The adoration to the Lord of the universe, that sounds pretty major.
It's a powerful expression of reverence and humility before the divine.
Every action seems to be building towards this greater connection with the spiritual realm.
Exactly. That's the whole point of the ritual.
So what are the actual words spoken during this adoration?
Oh, they're beautiful and evocative. Holy art thou, Lord of the universe.
Wow.
Holy art thou, whom nature hath not formed. Holy art thou, the vast and the mighty one, and my personal favorite, Lord of the light and of the darkness.
Those are some pretty intense declarations. It's like they're acknowledging this force that goes beyond duality, encompasses both light and darkness.
It's a recognition of the all-encompassing nature of the divine.
And they're not just speaking these words, right? You mentioned something about hand gestures.
Oh yeah, they incorporate specific hand positions throughout the ritual.
Like a spiritual sign language.
You could say that in this adoration, they use the projection sign and the sign of silence.
Okay, what do those represent?
Well, in Hermetic ritual, these hand positions are used to direct energy and symbolize different states of being.
Fascinating.
The projection sign might be used here to send out their intention and energy towards the divine.
Okay. And the sign of silence.
That could represent a receptive state of mind, open to receiving guidance and inspiration.
So it's a multisensory experience.
Absolutely engaging the body, mind, and spirit.
Wow, there's so much depth and symbolism packed into every element of this practice.
It really speaks to the richness and complexity of Hermetic thought.
Yeah, it's clear this isn't just about following a set of rules.
Not at all. It's about understanding the underlying principles and applying them in a way that's meaningful to the individual.
I like that. Okay, so we've got this incredible buildup of energy and intention through the circumambulation and the adoration. What happens next? Do they finally get to meet this archangel?
We're getting there. This is where we arrive at the heart of the ritual, the encounter with Archangel Auriel.
Okay, finally.
The practitioner moves to the north, performs a gesture called the zealoter sign, and visualizes Auriel responding in kind.
So it's a meeting of the minds, of visual communication.
That's right. And the document emphasizes the importance of detail in this visualization.
What kind of detail are we talking about?
Well, they're encouraged to imagine Auriel's appearance vividly. The colors of his clothing, The style, the background setting. It even mentions specific colors associated with Auriel.
Oh, really? What colors are those?
Citrine, olive black, and russet.
Citrine, like the gemstone. That's interesting.
It is right. Each color adds another layer of meaning to the visualization.
Deepening the connection with the archangel.
You got it. But the document makes it clear that the most important element isn't just seeing Auriel.
But feeling his presence.
Precisely. It's about going beyond the visual and engaging on a more intuitive, energetic level.
And how do they do that?
They transition from visualization to a state of receptive feeling, using what Hermeticists call astral senses to receive communication from Auriel.
Astral senses, that sounds pretty out there.
Think of it this way. We all have physical senses: sight, smell, touch, taste, hearing.
Right, the five senses.
Exactly. But Hermetic tradition proposes that we also have subtler senses that allow us to perceive and interact with a realm beyond the physical, what they call the astral plane.
Okay, so like a sixth sense or...
It's like intuition, but amplified and directed towards a specific purpose.
And in this case, that purpose is communicating with Auriel.
Exactly. Those astral senses become the channels through which the practitioner receives communication.
This is fascinating stuff. So what kind of communication takes place during this encounter? What does Auriel reveal?
That's a great question, and one that the document leaves open to interpretation. The specific content is likely to be personal and unique to the individual practitioner.
So it's a highly individualized experience tailored to the seeker's path.
Exactly. It's between them and the archangel.
That's pretty amazing to think about, that someone could access this level of guidance and knowledge through ritual.
It speaks to the power of belief,
Right.
our capacity for connecting with something greater than ourselves.
Absolutely. But even the most profound journeys must eventually come to an end. How does the practitioner conclude this powerful ritual and return to the everyday world?
The closing of the ritual is just as important as the opening and invocation.
Why is that?
It's about ensuring a safe and balanced return, a gradual reintegration into the physical realm.
So what are the steps involved in closing the circle?
Well, the first step is to signal the end of the communication with Auriel
How do they do that?
by giving the zealot sign, again, a silent farewell.
Okay, and then?
Then they move to the west side of the altar.
West, I remember you mentioned earlier that West is associated with the element of water in many esoteric traditions.
Good memory. You're right. Water is often linked to emotions,
Yeah.
intuition, the subconscious.
So moving to the West after the encounter with Auriel is about reintegrating the spiritual experience with their emotional landscape.
It's about internalizing the knowledge, making it a part of their being.
Okay, so what happens at the West side of the altar?
This is where the bread and salt we talked about earlier come into play.
Finally, I was wondering when those were going to make an appearance.
Using the white end of the wand.
The white end? The white end?
Good catting. You remember how we talked about the black end being for banishing and the white end for invoking?
Yeah, so they're invoking something into the bread and salt?
Possibly they trace the lesser invoking pentagram over them with the white end.
Like infusing them with the energy of the invocation?
Maybe even a bit of Auriel's essence.
Wow, so what happens to the bread and salt after that?
This is where it gets really interesting. The practitioner consumes them.
They eat them.
Yep, while meditating on the talismanic emblem.
The one with Uriel's name on it, what do you think that's all about?
This is where the symbolism gets really rich. Bread and salt are ancient symbols of nourishment and purification.
Okay.
So consuming them could represent a physical grounding after the astral journey.
Anchoring the spiritual experience in the physical body.
Exactly. And the meditation on the talisman likely serves as a focal point.
A way to further connect with the energy of the archangel.
Right. It's like a bridge between the physical and the spiritual, a tangible reminder of the connection they've established.
Okay, so they've had their symbolic meal. Now what?
Now it's time for the reverse circumambulation.
Reverse. So they're walking around the circle counterclockwise this time.
You got it 3 times again.
To symbolize what?
A return to balance the closing of the sacred space, unwinding the energy they built up.
Okay, I'm seeing a pattern here. Lots of 3s in this ritual.
It's a powerful number in many spiritual traditions.
Okay, so they've done the reverse walk. What's next?
Facing east, they make a specific statement. I now release any spirits that may have been imprisoned by this ceremony. Depart in peace to your abodes and habitations. Go with the blessings of Adonai Hara Arti.
Imprisoned spirits. That sounds kind of ominous.
Doesn't it? It suggests that certain energies or entities might have been drawn to the circle during the ritual.
So it's like they're making sure to send them on their way respectfully.
Exactly, a reminder that even in seeking connection with higher forces, We must be mindful of the impact on other beings seen and unseen.
Very considerate of them. Okay, so the spirits are released. What's the final step?
The ritual comes full circle with the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram again.
Performed with the black end of the wand this time.
It's standing in the east, firmly closing the circle, banishing any lingering unwanted energies.
And then they just declared the temple closed.
Pretty much they say, I now declare this temple duly closed, so mote it be.
So mote it be. I always liked that phrase.
It's a powerful way to seal the ritual, acknowledge its completion.
So there we have it, from preparation to invocation, communion with the Archangel, and finally a careful and respectful closing of the circle.
Quite a journey.
It really is, and it's amazing how much intentionality and symbolism is woven into every step.
It's not just about chanting and waving wands.
It's about engaging every level of your being in this quest for knowledge and transformation.
And what I find most striking is the emphasis on personal experience.
Right, this isn't a one-size-fits-all approach.
Not at all. The document provides a framework, but the real magic happens within the practitioner.
That's a good point. Speaking of which, that part about consuming the bread and salt while meditating on the talisman, that really stood out to me. What do you make of that?
It's a powerful image, right? It's like a bridge between the spiritual and the physical grounding, the insights from the Archangel.
Right, like a communion.
Exactly, and it raises a lot of interesting questions.
Definitely, what do you think, listener? What does this symbolic act evoke for you?
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
That bread and salt thing, it stuck with me.
It's a pretty striking image.
It is, right? It feels so grounding within this otherwise very ethereal ritual.
Yeah, like they're anchoring those spiritual insights into something tangible, physical.
Like a communion almost.
Exactly, and it really highlights the intentionality of this whole practice.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's not just about the mystical experience. It's about integrating those insights into everyday life.
So Hermeticism is all about that bridge between the spiritual and the material.
Right. Using that knowledge to actually transform yourself and the world around you.
The great work, as they call it.
Exactly. It's not just about meditating in a dark room. It's about applying those insights, taking action.
It's a very proactive approach to spirituality.
It is, isn't it? Not just waiting for enlightenment to strike.
You're going after it, experimenting, pushing boundaries.
Yeah.
Always striving for growth.
That's what I find so inspiring about this ritual. It's a blueprint for anyone seeking that deeper connection.
Even if you don't subscribe to all the tenets of Hermeticism, the core principles resonate.
Totally. Intention, visualization, connecting with something greater than ourselves, those are pretty universal desires.
Absolutely.
It's like we've been given a glimpse into a different way of seeing the world, a world where magic and symbolism are tools for personal transformation.
Pretty powerful stuff.
It is. So what do you think, listener? Does this ritual spark any personal reflections for you?
Maybe it inspires you to explore your own spiritual practices, or even create your own rituals.
Draw inspiration from the Hermetic tradition or any other sources that resonate with you.
The takeaway here is this: the power to connect with the unseen, to access hidden knowledge, to transform your life. That power lies within you.
It's about finding the tools and practices that help you tap into that power, unlock your own potential.
Who knows, maybe you'll encounter an archangel along the way.
Or maybe you'll discover something even more profound.
The boundless power of your own spirit.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Hermetic meditation. We hope it sparked your curiosity and inspired you to explore the mysteries within and beyond. Until next time.
Keep seeking.